So
I have a question regarding. So I was talking to an atheist, and he was talking about the contingency argument, and so essentially what he was saying is, um, wait. So let me read it out for you. So I was mentioning how it's logically inconceivable that we exist, yet there was an infinite. There was like a infinite regressive causes, and then he was like, I mentioned to him some analogies, and like for example, like the one that Brother Hijab gave of the ocean floor, that necessarily there must be an ocean floor in order for the ocean to exist in the state that it is. And he was like, well, I know that, like, he's basically like entertaining like this idea of naturalism, which I should talk to him about. But he was basically saying, well, I know this because of the layer of water on the Earth's surface. And then he was like, now I have no indication that a causal chain is finite. It could very well be infinite, right? And then he was like, well, the analogy doesn't work. And he was like, I'm being honest by saying I don't know. So how should I respond to that?
The form of the contingency argument that I try and put forward is one which doesn't care about the infinite regress interrogation. Okay, and many people think that, okay, so we argue in the first instance that there can't be an infinite regress of causation, or that there can't be an infinite regress of dependent things, or dependent things depending upon dependent things ad infinitum. Yeah, but let's just, for the sake of argument, no problem, let's admit that there's, or agree with him that there's an infinite regress. Fine, no problem. I've got a question, and it's the question I want you to remember. Yeah,
Okay.
what is the infinite regress depending on? Because, like, for example, if you say that I believe in the existence of an infinite tree or an eternal tree, this tree has been there forever. Okay, no problem. You believe in an eternal tree that's been there, because eternality and infinity are inextricably linked, in so much as what eternality is just infinite time. It can be post-eternality, it can be pre-eternality, right? So if we believe in a pre-eternal and post-eternal tree, therefore we believe in an infinite tree as it relates to time. Are we okay with that so far?
Well, he would usually he would respond to me like he wouldn't assert that it is eternal, but like he would like be like, well, it's possible, and we don't have to add God to the
Okay,
equation.
no problem. Let's say no problem is possible. Thank you. So tell them, yeah, all right, no problem. For the sake of argument, say that the tree is an infinite tree, it's an eternal tree, whatever. My question is very straightforward. What is this tree dependent on?
What is the tree dependent? He would,
Yeah,
well,
yeah,
like I'm
yeah,
assuming because I was trying to get around that field, but he was like, oh well, the like
yeah.
the Big Bang. He was mentioning the Big Bang and how it always existed, like
Okay,
just in a different form.
no problem. Tell him I haven't got problem with any of that. What is the tree dependent on? Now
Okay, so
he's got two possible answers. Either the tree is dependent on itself, or the tree is dependent upon something else. But we
okay,
know that trees are not dependent on themselves. We know that trees depend upon sunlight. We know that trees depend upon the external environment, the ecosystem, right? If you don't have an ecosystem, you don't have a tree. If you don't have sun, you don't have a tree. Do you agree with me or not?
yeah, okay, I
Yeah,
understand.
okay, so if you believe in the existence of an eternal tree, or an infinite tree, or an infinite regress, I haven't got a problem. No problem. It's a possibility. Is this infinite regress, is it dependent or is it independent? Now tell me what he could say to that. There's two possibilities, bro. What's your name again?
My name is Liban. I just put Hamza.
Liban, listen to me carefully. Listen to me carefully.
Yeah.
He says there's an infinite regresses of dependent things, because we're not talking about causation. We're talking about dependent things. Okay, very important. Don't mention causation. Just mention dependent things.
Okay.
Okay. You say, okay, no problem. I agree that there's an infinite regress of dependent things for the sake of argument. Let's agree for the sake of argument
Okay.
that there is an infinite regress of dependent things.
There's
You've
an
got,
infinite regress of dependent thing. Okay, I
yeah,
understand.
fine, no problem. So you've got two options. Is this infinite regress dependent on itself, or is it dependent upon something else?
Oh, okay, I see what you're
What?
saying.
Okay, no. What could he say? Tell me what he could
So
say.
so is it dependent on something else or is it dependent on some? I'm assuming with what he was proposing and what he was pushing, he would say it's interdependent, or it's like it just is. I like
Okay, so that means it's dependent on itself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fantastic. You know what, my friendly band, listen to me carefully. Yeah. Now,
It's a necessary existence, right?
thank you. If he says it's dependent upon itself, then you say, "Oh, so thank you very much. You're now affirming the existence of an independent thing."
Hmm.
So then you ask him, "How could you affirm the existence of an independent thing and still be an atheist? These two things don't make sense." Now, if he says it's dependent upon something else, then we have the problem all over again. You see, the issue
Yeah.
is, what's that dependent? What's that dependent? And then you're going to have to come back and say it's dependent on itself. Now, the fact of the matter is, an infinite regress of dependent things cannot be an independent. Do you know why?
So an infinite regress cannot be.
Yeah, even though we're agreeing with him for the sake of argument, we're saying an infinite regress of dependent things cannot be independent. Do you know why?
Why?
Because it's composed. Anything which is composed is generated, and anything which is generated is dependent. Full stop.
So composed as in like even like the pre Big Bang, that would be composed, like a potential.
Composed simply means it's made up of parts. That's what it means. It's made up of parts. That's all it means. If something is made up of parts, it's composed. If something is composed, it's generated. If something is generated, it's dependent.
So what shows, like, what proves
By
that?
the way, so just
yeah.
I just want to add something. This argument is Quranic. Do you know what the evidence of that is? Because some people know. The evidence of, yeah.
No, I was thinking of the Quran where it says, where Allah says, "Did you create yourself, or were you created by yourself?"
Right. That's something else. But there's another ayah which you might also know. Ya ayyuhal insan ma gharraka bi rabbika al-kareem. Yeah. Oh human being, what has deluded you about your Lord? Yeah. الذي خلقك فسواك فعدلك في أي صورة ما شاء ركبك. The one who created you, proportioned you, and orientated you in any form that he wants. He composed you of parts. Rakkabak tarkib comes from putting you together. He put you together from different parts. الذي خلقك فسواك فركبك. الذي خلقك فسواك فعدلك في أي صورة ما شاء ركبك. He put you together. So anyways, going back to the point, because some Muslims will say, where's the evidence of this kind of argument in the Quran? This is where the evidence is. So anything that is made up of parts, like this thing here. Can you see this thing here?
Yeah.
There's no way that this thing here is independent, because I can break it up into I can cut it right now, and all the beads will fall out, the pearls will fall out. The beads. Yeah? Now these beads, if they fall out, I can put them back together. The fact that they are susceptible to assembly and disassembly and reassembly, that is evidence of its composition. Anything that has composition is finite. Anything that has composition is limited. Anything that is limited is generated. Anything that is generated is dependent. And anything is dependent, by extension, needs something to depend on.
Oh, okay. Wait, so I'm sorry for prolonging this for too long, but I was mentioning how yesterday I was watching one of your videos, and you were talking about how, like, so to that, like you're saying it's dependent, but then, like, isn't it like, by saying it's dependent, you're saying like it's not necessary. But
dependent, all I'm saying is definitionally that means something that relies upon something else for its existence.
Okay, so you're saying the
on something else for its existence.
Okay. So you're basically saying that the eternal regress, right? That would be impossible because of the fact that it's composed of parts, or like the big.
No. Anything which is made up of parts, is generated, and anything that is generated is dependent. The universe is made of parts, therefore the universe is generated, therefore the universe is dependent.
Oh, okay. That's quite simple. Okay.
I understand what you're saying. Look at this thing, yeah? Is there any way that this could be independent?
Well, you can make. Well, that's what I was saying. So you can make a case that it had to be that way, like.
Okay, this is determinism, right? Now, let me explain why there's a difference between determinism and necessity.
Okay.
We believe that this had to be this way as a matter of determination. Allah qaddara dhalik. He made the qadar that this was like that.
Mhm.
But if you abstract this, it's contingent for its own sake, but it's only dependent because it's only determined because it's reliant upon the necessary existence.
Okay. So I can't even. Okay, I see what you're saying. So if he says something like, "Oh, it had to be like the only universe that we were born into a universe that is eternal." So therefore, like if he says
So
that,
he's a determinist, and he says that I believe in an uninterrupted causal chain or an antecedent set of events, which meant that everything that we have now had to be the way that it is, then he and you will both agree that the only reason why things are the way they are, and they had to be the way they are, is because of the uninterrupted causal chain or the antecedent causal event, which means to say that they are like that because of something else, not because of their own sake. In other words, if you abstract everything that is in existence, it is contingent for its own sake, it's contingent in itself, but it is determined, okay, because of its connection with the necessary existence, because of its in their understanding, its connection with the causal chain, the uninterrupted causal chain. But if you abstract it, so if you abstract it, it's contingent. If you connect it, it's necessary. Simple as that.
okay, so basically what I would be like is what you're putting forward as what might be the case is not possible, is basically what I would tell him.